Hey everyone, welcome to Dollar Games, and as you all know, today was Nintendo's Partner Direct. Now I know there has been a lot of rumors going around about some sort of Direct for a while, and I just wasn't paying attention to it because honestly, there's always rumors at this point. But I was a bit disappointed to learn that it was a Partner Direct. Usually, I'm just not that big on Partner Directs, and I haven't been really impressed with a lot of them up until now. I'm just hoping all the games announced today aren't just game key cards at this point, but I don't know. Anyways, this video is not about game key cards and the entirety of that direct, but rather I want to dive into one game in specific that caught mine and a lot of people's eye, and that is the Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. Now this was developed by Team Asano of Octopath and Bravely Default fame, plus you can also tell the naming structure, it's definitely them. This is their first HD 2D action RPG, blending nostalgic visuals that we all love and real-time combat with some RPG elements. In the trailer shown in the direct, we're introduced to a ruined continent called Philadelphia, home to the humanity's last stronghold and the kingdom of Heather. Protected by a magical barrier from beast tribes, you play as Elliot, teamed with a fairy companion named Faie. Armed with multiple weapon types like swords, bows, and bombs, you explore ancient ruins, customize your gear with magicite, and unlock time-spanning secrets beyond Heather's walls. Faie can assist in battle, help gather items, and even be co-op controlled by a second player. Now let's get into the demo. I downloaded it right away when it dropped and was extremely excited to give it a shot. Right away, you are thrown into the thick of the exposition, which I don't mind in a demo since time is not something you have a lot of, and I'm sure it'll be different in the final product. Alongside that, the first thing I noticed was the score accompanying the exposition and introduction, and it was extremely fitting. It gave off a feeling of grand adventure, which I think comes with the title of the game, so not a bad job. One thing I have to critique though is just the name of the adventurer. At the beginning of the demo, you have a character emphasizing how he knows this incredible adventurer to the king and princess, and I just feel Elliot doesn't give off that feeling entirely. No offense to all the Elliots out there, honestly. But I feel like this is just the typical situation for Team Asano's ability to name games and characters. Anyways, as the game gives you control, I am happy to see that it's running at more or less 60 frames a second, but definitely not perfect across the board. The look of the game is much more pixelated than others and a bit noisy, but I think it's suitable with the target FPS. Granted, this is a demo, so hopefully we'll see a bit more refinement by the time the game is released. As I explored the initial city, I noticed that everyone I spoke to ended up with a checkbox once all the dialogue options were exhausted. I thought this was just an excellent touch and more JRPGs should copy this. I would especially love to see this in the Trails games, but that's a whole different video entirely. Also, exploring in general seems to be a lot of fun. You're able to jump around and find nooks and crannies filled with pots and barrels to break and treasures to open. Think Zelda when it comes down to breaking pots and such. You can even lift them over your head and throw them just like Link. Now, Zelda analogies might be a trend in this video, so stay tuned for more. All this is great, but we need to get into the gameplay. So initially when I saw the trailer, I was going back and forth with people in the JRPG Pursuit podcast Discord about how we all thought it was going to be mechanically a Square Enix Ys game. But boy were we wrong. The action combat is definitely slower and more methodical than I expected. It really reminded me of playing as Link in a Zelda game, fairy and all. You're able to assign weapons like your sword, bombs, and bow and arrow to the Y and X buttons and swap them on the fly using the ZR button. That plus the ability to find secrets by bombing walls just really emphasized my Zelda vibes from this whole game. Which isn't a bad thing at all. I'm very happy with how the battle mechanics work and appreciate the use of a shield as I make my way through the map fighting enemies. Now let's take a moment to talk about stats and leveling up, or lack thereof. This game in its current form does not have any mechanics around leveling up, so no matter how much you fight, your character will just not get any stronger. But enemies will drop items and magicite crystals. In this game, you take the magicite crystals and form things like sword magicite, bomb magicite, bow and arrow magicite, etc. These magicite can give you skill boosts or stat boosts depending on your luck of the draw. I don't know if there's any method to get specific things yet based on what I was able to try in the demo, but we'll see what that looks like later on in the full game. Between the magicite and the equipment, that's how you start to build your character. So I imagine you're able to really change up your playstyle as much as you like as you find new gear and crystals. While I explored the world, there wasn't anything regarding a storyline due to the structure of the demo, but it was a ton of fun finding lots of hidden dungeons and even these temples with trials in them. Again with the Zelda vibes. The one I found was short and easy, but still a great time. Plus you got some great treasure from completing the trial, so it's a win-win in my book. Basically, this game seems to reward curiosity and exploration, which is great, especially since you have an incentive to do it to find great gear to better scale your character up in abilities and stats. One thing I brought up earlier but should elaborate on is your fairy companion in the game named Faie. In most games, I would probably not think too hard about using a companion like that, but this fairy is integral to your traversal and experience in the world. You're able to swap out abilities she gives you on the fly. My initial skill was the skill that basically gave me a speed boost to run around the enemies a lot quicker and was super useful in battles. But later in the demo, another skill was unlocked that allowed me to transport myself to wherever Faie was. That reminds me, I forgot to mention that you are able to control Faie with the right joystick, or you can have a friend control Faie in co-op mode. But basically, if you see a gap you can't cross, you can fly Faie over to the other side and hit a button to teleport yourself there. This adds another layer of exploration, and you can find a lot of great treasure by keeping an eye out for areas to teleport to. On top of that, Faie will also do some damage to enemies in the battle. Not a lot, but extra damage is always welcome, so no complaints on my end. Overall, I spent about an hour with this demo, and I'm sure there's more to explore. The demo ended on a boss that took some getting used to. It's also great to let you know that when you die, you can use the currency to resurrect yourself, which was around 20 of the in-game currency. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you play as bad as me, it adds up. So I guess I need to learn to stock up on money for the bosses. Once you complete the boss, you find a door labeled the Door of Time. So I'm going to take a wild guess and say that the story will involve some sort of time travel, possibly. You know, Door of Time sounds eerily close to Corridor of Time, but we'll see how they use that premise later on. So that's my first taste of the Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. It's still early days, but this demo gave me a ton to be excited about, especially the combat flexibility, the world building, and that gorgeous HD 2D presentation. If Square Enix can polish the mechanics and really dig into the story potential, this might be something special when it hits the Switch 2 in 2026. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. Did you check out the demo? Are you into this new action RPG direction? Or do you miss that turn-based battles in your HD 2D games? Let's talk in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and sub if you haven't already. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this one as development continues. Thank you, and I'll catch you on the next video.